Thank you so much, Virginia. It's really a privilege to be here among such esteemed destinations and stakeholders from around the world. It's really been inspiring, and I'm excited to continue the conversation. So, World Wildlife Fund, we're a global conservation organization, and we work on, you might be really familiar with our work preserving wildlife species or addressing climate change. We work to secure systems for people, for the benefit of people and nature. And of course, a lot of these topics are really relevant to the discussions we've been having over the past 2 days. One of the newer practices within WWF is their food practice, and it's a body of work that represents sustainable production of food, sustainable consumption of food, and food loss and waste, which is my specialty. So when I came onto the team about 7 years ago, WWF had already been working on topics of food waste, and that's because of the really outsized impact that the production of food has on systems and nature around the world. The production of food uses more resources than any other system. It uses more energy, water, wildlife, habitat, chemicals than any other production. And then we ship it all around the world to have the globalized food system, the amazing meals we've had even now on this trip. So WWF had been working in food systems all over the world. It maybe just hadn't been stated as such. So when we came to the table, we were looking at some of the first systemic data on food waste and where it was happening in our systems. We were looking first at the US, so I'm based originally in Washington, DC, and we are thinking from a US perspective on how we can most strategically address food waste for benefits of people and nature. And we looked at the reporting and we saw the breakdown and we said, okay, about 40% of food waste is coming out of consumer-facing businesses. This is an area where WWF has significant positioning to work with public and private sectors, civil society, to really change the way that businesses are approaching food sustainability, food procurement, food production, and absolutely disposal of organic waste as well. When we were thinking about where to start with consumer-facing businesses, we started with hotels, and the reason was very direct for us. Hotels employ a critical mass of food service workers, and they serve a critical mass of diners around the world. And it was the quickest way we could start to understand how food service could be transformed to be less extractive and less damaging. So we invited together, it was 7 years ago, we invited together with the American Hotel and Lodging Association and Hilton Hotels. We sat in the room with 5 large multinational hotel brands, Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, HG, and Accor. And we started to discuss what does it look like to address food waste systemically in hotels, hospitality systems. And what was born out of that was pilots across the country, which were testing out key drivers and solutions to food waste in the hotel context. After those pilots, we went to work writing a toolkit, and you can find that at hotelkitchen.org. It's now become a larger suite of resources, and that included guidance on food procurement, staff training, consumer engagement, menu design, how to serve a buffet that doesn't produce 50%, waste 50% of the procured food or something like this. And then also with a top priority on preventing food waste, but also with the understanding that very often in these complex systems, we can't avoid all food waste. So also how do topics of food loss and waste connect with topics of food security, food donation systems, and then also critically food waste diversion, keeping food waste out of landfills and incinerators. In landfills, food waste becomes methane, just like other organic waste, and it's actually one of the key drivers of climate change today, and one that we can definitely address. So once we put this out to the sector, we saw quickly adoption in the States, but immediately the tourism sector is not one that stops at borders. The brands that were rolling this out at their properties and with their teams had operations all around the world, and we needed this platform to be appropriate for that scale of operations. So we immediately set to work scaling to key tourism sectors around the world in Brazil, Victoria Falls, throughout China, a national program in Pakistan, and many others. And today we actually host these resources really at the global level to say these are the universal tenets of how you're going to be addressing food waste in hotels. And we were able to dig in that way. Since then, others have hotels aren't the only ones producing food, so others have knocked on our door. We created the 86 Food Waste Toolkit for restaurants, and we also work in partnership, one-to-one corporate partnership, and also pre-competitive engagements to bring along hotels, restaurants, cruise ships, commercial catering, to really change the way that they're procuring and serving food. And today we're in the business of scaling up, out, and deep, and we see these concepts formalized now in the UN One Planet Global Tourism Food Waste Roadmap, which I'll speak a little bit more about in a bit, but critically, we're seeing these concepts scaled through brands, through the best, not business as usual, but business at its best, and really seeing the way that their guests and their customers are really demanding that they act. And very critically, we're seeing these initiatives rolled out at the destination level, and really, we say destinations, we mean communities. The hotels and tourism businesses are not at all in isolation. We've discussed this several times today. Next to a hotel is a school, is a supermarket, and is the place where people were born and live. And these are the lives that we share with each other, and we're really all sitting around a global table. And this work, we eat together here at a global forum, and then you go home and we're still at a global forum in the way that we are sitting in our interconnected systems there too.